Okay, so I've just made this video and I didn't realize that my mic was off. So now I'm hungry and I'm going to try and do this video within the time it takes for me to air fry my spring rolls. So essentially this is how I trade, and this will be 15 minutes starting now. Okay, so bit of background, I trade purely to supplement my salary. I don't want to trade full time and be at the charts all day. I want it to be as easy as possible and as quick as possible on the day to day, so that I'm not sitting here or I'm not worried about the charts and I'm not waiting for it. So I enter in the 4 hour, and yeah, I do a little bit of top down analysis. So we'll start there. I'm not going to go too in depth, but if you have any questions, please let me know. So I'll tell you my trading goals at the end. So this is the weekly time frame, and I've identified that this is the most recent swing point. And I'll show you how I do it, because I do the same thing on the daily, but essentially this is a higher high and this is a lower low. And what I'm trying to do in the weekly is identify the most recent swing point, and so which is that. So then I can drop down to the daily, and I can start from there, as my daily swing point is this, and so every time that gets broken, or the higher high gets broken, lower low, whatever it is, the weekly swing point, I start again. And so I look for the next. This looks like it's going by what do you call it? Short. The bias is short on the daily, so I look for the next lower low. So I'm just going to classify that as a lower high. The next one, and how I identify it, is going to be this one, and there's a couple things that I look for. So firstly, I look for it to break, which means to close beyond another swing point, which it could be this. Let's use this for example. And then once it's broken, it has to come back and take out inducement, or what I call a valid pullback. And so for it to be a valid pullback, it needs to get the lowest candle with the lowest wick, the candle with the lowest wick essentially, and then its high, this is for bearish, its high has to be closed past for the next candle. So this is the lowest wick candle. This candle closes above its high, so if that makes sense. And so this is what I technically call a valid pullback, and it goes all the way to here. So I look for the highest point of that, or the deepest part of the pullback, and that is the point that Trice needs to, once it's broken that, broken the lowest point, it needs to come back and close above it. So on this candle, it closes above this point. So this officially becomes a lower low. Yeah, and so that's my first criteria I look for. Now I can look for a trade. And so yeah, this is USD JPY, by the way. We're on the daily. And so my first entry in this trade movement is the next valid pullback from this point. So this is a pullback. This here is not a pullback, because this lowest wick, the candle with the lowest wick, its high didn't get closed above before the next valid pullback. So essentially, if we're looking at it, this whole move, looking at the legs, it goes from this point, it goes down to here. That's a valid pullback. It goes up, down. That's a valid pullback. Down, not a valid pullback. So it's not going down to here. It's going from here straight down to here, and then that's a valid pullback, and then down to there. That makes sense. I can't draw right now, but yeah. Moving forward, we will go to from here, the next valid pullback is this one. So this is the lowest wick of the lowest candle, and this closes above it. And so did a bunch of these other ones. So we look for the highest point, which is there, and that candle is pretty much where I look for my trade. And obviously, this is hindsight, so I look for something that works. But we'll get into that later in terms of win rate and whatnot. So once we've found that point, I go down to the 4-hour chart, which is where I enter, and I look for the deepest candle in this pure point of interest or trade zone, whatever you want to call it, which is going to be this one. This is the deepest candle in this trade zone, this point of interest zone. I like to color it around 33% to make it different, obviously, so I can see it. And so this candle essentially is my entry and my stop loss. And so I would normally enter when price gets to around this level or around the 50% mark from here to here, from here to this swing point, daily swing point. So for argument's sake, I would enter around here, maybe once it passes that. And it's not, I don't have to be so rigid because I do this weeks in advance, months even. So I'm waiting for trades for ages, and I enter them on as limit orders because then I don't have to stare at the charts and wait for it to initiate. So I just leave it. So I would enter there on this box. This candle is my entry, and then my stop loss is still the box, the top of the box, but I do spread size beyond it because sometimes it comes up a little and then goes in the right direction. So this is to prevent that. So let's say that's the spread for now, and obviously it changes. But yeah, and then once I have my entry and my stop loss calculated, I go here to the daily time frame to look for my take profit. And so my take profit is the next high candle, next high of a bearish candle that is at least 3 RR. So it would be this candle. Sometimes I think about mitigation, and that's kind of mitigated, so it would be this one, but it's not a hard and fast rule. So yeah, that would be my take profit. That's a 5R trade, and it would finish there. So that all in all took from here opening the trade to here is 26 days. So that's about a month waiting for that. But really waiting for this whole thing to go would be somewhere around 90 days, around 3 months. So that's my first entry. Yeah, and then so I have a second entry for this whole trade, I guess, movement. I don't know what you would call it, and it would be here at the extreme. So, and normally I would enter these trades when this trade finishes or when it hits around here, like 50% mark on the fib. If we go from this swing point to this swing point, look for 50%. Sometimes these trades are so close, so I'll put them both on at the same time because it's a limit order. And so that's a daily, same thing. Where are we up to? 8 minutes. Okay. 7 minutes ago. 4 hour entry and stop loss. Always have a stop loss. Personally, always do. That's really easy to do the way I do it, at least. And so that's my entry. And so yeah, I usually enter, say this loses, I enter when this stop loss is taken. So about there, I would probably enter because there's such a wide gap in between. I could enter there, I could enter middle of the point. I don't have to enter straight away. That's the thing about my strategy. It's super chill. I don't have to look at the charts. I don't have to stare at what price is doing. I don't even have to look at it for a week, and I should still be fine, or even longer, to enter after that. So that's my entry there. That's already 3R. But we'll go to the daily and look for our actual stop take profit, which is at least 3R. So it wouldn't be any of those. It would be this one right here, 3.2R. Yeah, so we enter there, May. And because it's hindsight, I can show you this. It won. And see that I trade long term, so that from initiating I mean, from putting that limit order in to it finishing is 30. It's 196 days, which is something like 7 months done to wait for that trade. But um, from knowing that there's going to be valid trades, which is about there maybe, or getting the swing point, it would be around like almost a year. So this is across 2023. I would have gotten 8.4, or I did get 8.4 R, and I always risk 1%. So I know, and it's pretty easy. Obviously, that's 8% right there on one pair. And so I trade across normally all 28 pairs, but every year I look at it and see if I don't want to trade some certain pairs, so right now I'm only trading maybe like 25, 24, something like that. But it will take me less than 5 minutes to check every pair because I don't do all this from the start. I only have to look at what's happening immediately, and obviously this takes a while for anything to happen because I trade long term. We have 3 minutes ish left, and I'll show you how quick I can go through all those pairs. So starting from zone JPY, I've already got everything mapped out, so all I have to do is look at it. Nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. I mean, it's just going sideways or not going in the right direction. This is the extreme for USD JPY. Oh yeah, that's what I was just showing you. So this is the same, bit off in 3 and 4, but yeah, it hasn't broken structure, so I don't have to do anything yet until it breaks structure again. Doesn't break structure, or going to close to really looking for a trade. And I have some nuances, so these ones I wouldn't even enter because these are inside the box, and so I've realized that statistically they don't work for me. So even that's taken, I wouldn't enter on that trade. So I'll wait for the next one. These ones are ones that the first entry point has been taken, so that was a winner, but it's so far away from the second, the extreme, that there's no point in putting on the trade yet. See, that was a loss, and then it went right back up to my higher high, and this would be the entry, so there's no point in putting it in until it gets around to, like you saw, the 50% mark. This one is my latest one for this year, 24 March. It lost, and see how it's just swept me out. And even with my rule of swap passed, it still went through it, and then now it's going up. So that might be right trade idea, but taking me out. I was the liquidity there. Couple minutes left, but yeah, these are the trades that I have placed on my actual trading account, which is not on TradingView because the brokers I saw on TradingView at the time weren't didn't get great reviews. So these are, I'm just waiting. I don't really have to do anything really. I don't just touch these because they're all pending orders on my MetaTrader 5. I just like to look at it sometimes so I can see that's heading towards it. Still might be a couple months. This is just bouncing back and forth. Quite far away. Entered early because these are kind of close together and past the 50% mark. So I put them both on at the same time, 1-1, and it just went straight up from there. So this one's still going, but it's not doing anything. Same again, they're relatively close, so I put them on close together. That one, but this one's still quite a bit off. And then these last three are trades that I opened last year, and I usually close all my trades at November 30, because if you can see here, I've seen this a lot, is that by December 1 week in, bam, straight back to my break even, and that could go way past it as well. So I close all my trades at November and don't trade until January. And these are all JPY pairs, so they're quite similar. I closed it here, even though at break even it came in, but November, which was a late trade, so really might not have opened this in hindsight at least. But December went straight down, which is what I wanted actually. But now it's looking like it's strong going up, or at least sticking around my break-even point. But yeah, all these trades I'm no longer in. I'm just watching to see how they go. And then again, November 30, December goes straight down to break even. And now it's going back up. So I could have entered again if I wanted to, but I don't. That's not part of my trading plan. But yeah, that's 15 minutes, 16 minutes now. That's all I have to do every day. Less than 5 minutes. Look through all those and see what's happening. I just heard that my spring rolls are ready. So that's it. Any questions, leave a comment, message me. I don't mind. Yeah, essentially what I want to do with my trading is supplement some of my salary so that I can work a couple less days. I'm newly married. We're expecting our first child this year, and so I want some of my time, but I also like my job. I'm not trying to be rich or anything. My wife and I both work for non-for-profits, and so we want to keep working, but we also want love each other and love our family, and we're trying to build our family up. So I would like the time to do that. So if you're like me and you don't want to trade full time, you just kind of like a secondary income to supplement um, and give you some of your time back. Yeah, maybe hit me up. I'd love to speak to people about that. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. Those are my trading goals. So, before I go, I'll show you um, the results. Last 6 years or so. Essentially, these are my ROI wins each year, and that's at 1% risk to 1 to R. Sorry, 3 RR minimum, and so it's always a bit more, but I always risk 1%. So 95 means I've over 6 years I've gotten 95% thereabouts. I don't put in the points, so it's just full numbers, only full numbers, whole numbers. I mean, yeah, and so that's on average that would equal about 15%, which is over almost 16% a year on average, and which is fine for me. I don't need huge amounts, especially if you have bigger capital. You really don't need that much. So funded trading, what do you call it? Prop firms really help people like us, retail people at the moment, to build up our own capital until we get there. But yeah, so my win rate is kind of low. It's at 37 and a bit. And that's fine because my RR makes up for it. So total wins 180, total losses 85. Trades 148 over 6 years. That's not many at all. It's super easy to do. The way I trade, it's pretty much I can go to sleep at night. I can look at the chart maybe 3 times a week, maybe if I wanted to. And it's super easy. I don't stress about it. My trading psychology is built into the way I trade. So yeah, that's pretty much it. 90 minutes, it's a long video. The earlier one was quicker. But hit me up if you have any questions.